Friends and family, members of the faculty, staff, and Board of Trustees, students, seniors, welcome. A few days ago, thunderstorms were forecast for June 9th, 2018, but clearly this was destined to be a beautiful day, and it is wonderful to have all of you here with us in this hallowed location to celebrate the unique gifts and achievements of the Westtown class of 2018, to award 85 well-earned diplomas, and to send these magnificent young people on to the next phase of their lives with love and hope and joy. To begin our program, it is a great pleasure to invite to the podium Jonathan Evans, clerk of our Board of Trustees, Westtown alumnus from the class of 1973, former faculty member, and parent of 3 Westtown graduates. After John shares with us a reading from Scripture, we will join together, as is our custom, in a shared moment of silent worship.
Thank you, Tori. It's been a privilege to have worked with you over the course of this, your first year as head of school, on behalf of the Westtown school community. And good morning, everyone. Special good morning to the class of 2018. Our school community welcomes people of many faiths, cultures, and nationalities. This morning, as we celebrate commencement, I would like to share with all of you, and especially with the class of 2018, Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 13, verses 1 through 13. I'm reading from the New International Translation of the Bible. I think you will hear some themes that were lifted up in last evening's meeting for worship. And if we open our hearts and minds to these words from long ago, I believe we may find that they speak to our common humanity and our deepest spiritual yearnings. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but I do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
Thank you, friends. Seniors, today is about you, your accomplishments, your talents, your truths, and your futures. You are an incredibly impressive class. You come from 12 states and 8 countries. 13 of you are lifers, having been at Westtown since pre-kindergarten or kindergarten. 9 of you are children of alumni, and 6 of you are children of faculty. 3 of you are National Merit Scholars. 11 of you completed deep dives in sustainability, global leadership, and social entrepreneurship. 15 of you engaged in independent studies, and you completed senior projects in 14 different countries. 31 of you served in elected leadership positions as student body presidents, class officers, dorm prefects, work program heads, discipline council representatives, and farm managers. This year, your class led Westtown varsity teams to achieve 4 FSL championships, and 25 of you were named to FSL All-League teams. 2 of you earned your 100th career win in wrestling. 1 of you recorded your 100th hit in baseball, and one of you was added to our 1,000-point banner for basketball. Members of your class were selected to the Tri-State Youth Festival Senior Music Ensemble, District 12 Chorus, and Region 5 Chorus. The 7 of you who are members of Metal Moose are the first Westtown robotics participants to qualify for the World Championships 4 years in a row, placing in the top 10% every one of those years. Among you, there are 3 award-winning equestrians, 1 TED Talk speaker, 1 Today Show guest, 1 soon-to-be-famous musician with a debut album, and more student activists than we can count. There is a great deal to celebrate today, and like I said, it's all about you. But I'm sure you will agree that it is first appropriate to recognize and honor the many people who helped make today possible. People whose love, faith, and support brought you to this moment. People who worked and cared and gave so that you could be sitting here today. First of all, let us thank the loved ones who have joined us today in the Greenwood, as well as the loved ones who cannot be present here today. Parents, grandparents, siblings, family members, host family members, and special friends. As these young people have pursued their passions, broadened their minds, and testified to their beliefs and values, they have done so on the strength of your love and support. You have been on this journey too. We honor you, and we thank you for your trust and your belief in Westtown and your faith and love for these young people. Thanks are also due to our Board of Trustees, 28 loyal and devoted stewards of Westtown School. Our trustees work really hard to make sure that our school is safe, sound, healthy, and true to its mission and founding principles. Thank you, trustees, for your all-important dedication and hard work. Behind the scenes of this beautiful ceremony, behind the scenes of every minute of every day at Westtown School, is the loving, dignified, hard work of our facilities, food services, housekeeping, security, transportation, and other staff members. We thank them far too infrequently, for their work is to be seen everywhere, from these beautifully kept grounds to the cleanliness and good repair of our buildings and school vehicles, to the delicious and nourishing meals we eat, to the fundamental fact of our safety and security on this campus. The Westtown staff's work is vital to our school, and we thank them. Seniors, throughout your year or years in upper school, you have been held and helped by some amazing administrators, deans, directors, advisors, dorm parents and affiliates, college counselors, librarians, friends in the upper school office, offices of international students and diversity and inclusion, learning resource center, and health center. Seniors, please bring to mind and hold in your hearts these wonderful administrators, especially those who have been particularly important to you personally, your advisors, mentors, and guides, and join me in thanking them. And whether you have been at Westtown for 1 year or 14, your teachers and coaches have provided you with an outstanding education. They opened you to new information and new ways of thinking. Under their direction, you have mastered skills, developed stamina and strength, artistry and creativity. Your teachers and coaches have challenged your assumptions, inspired you to independent thinking and teamwork, and encouraged you to engage in enterprise, persuasion, and competition. Each of you has drawn particular personal inspiration from certain coaches and teachers. Again, please bring these people to mind and hold them in your hearts as we thank them for their wonderful work. In particular, let us recognize and honor several departing upper school faculty and staff members. We are truly grateful for the many contributions to our community made by Molly Belsky, our theater intern, Ian Kokassi, our athletics intern, Tatum Dilks, assistant teacher in history, and Michael Hickey, teacher in science. For her 7 years of devoted service and countless contributions to the health and welfare of upper school students, we are deeply grateful to Dean of Students, Linda Rosenberg McGuire. This spring, we thanked and said farewell to co-director of college counseling, Susan Tree, and for her 27 years of sterling service in this capacity, let us express our profound gratitude once again. Lastly, please join me in congratulating two colleagues on their retirement and wishing them all happiness in their future adventures. Megan Connolly, who chose to end her career with 4 great years at Westtown as Chief Technology Officer, and Deb Wood, who has served Westtown beautifully for 16 amazing years as a teacher of history and chair of our history department. Finally, tremendous thanks are owed to Chris Benbow, Westtown alumnus from the class of 1990, parent of 2 current Westtown students, former English teacher and dean of students, and of course, upper school principal. Seniors, Teacher Chris has overseen your entire upper school experience with minute but far-sighted attention to your well-being only and always. I now invite him to the podium, and please join me in thanking him.
We come now to the tradition and the gift of senior essays. Student essays have been featured in various forms at Westtown's commencement since the 1870s. Their prominence in this celebration reflects our community's concordance that student voices are more meaningful on this occasion than any outside speaker could be. Every member of the class of 2018 wrote a personal essay and submitted it to a committee of upper school teachers who had the difficult task of selecting 3 to be read today. Westonians are often encouraged to listen for the still, small voice within, and each of these essayists have done that well. The truths captured by each of them do their entire class proud. Our first essayist is Shia Ihan. Ihan came to Westtown 4 years ago from Shanghai after he and his parents found the diverse curriculum and student body they were looking for at Westtown. In the classroom, Ihan has been exemplary, routinely reaching beyond even the most challenging course requirements to further his own learning. He earned deep dive certificates in both global leadership and sustainability leadership, served as a math tutor, a writing fellow, and a leader in the peer tutoring program through which he initiated the ever-popular faculty dog petting exam week study break. Ihun's contributions extend to athletics and the arts, too. An avid runner and key contributor to both the cross-country and track and field teams, Ihun is also an accomplished pianist who's as likely to be spotted supporting his peer musicians as an accompanist as he is to be performing on his own. At our recent awards assembly, Ihun was recognized 12 times and received, among others, an award for the depth and breadth of his leisure reading, awards in Spanish and math for both achievement and commitment, the Religion Award, and the Alumni Association Award for highest scholarship. Ihun will attend Brown University this fall, where no doubt he will continue to dive both deep and wide.
My freshman year proctor, Leo Hochberg, once said, "You have a unique accent." After I asked, he offered that my accent couldn't easily be defined. It wasn't simply Chinese or American, refined or crude. Puzzling over why, I decided to trace its origin. Ever since I was a kid, I have been collecting snippets of my parents' childhood, from mom, dad, and grandma stories over the dinner table, to complete this giant puzzle of where I came from. For as long as I could remember, my parents would take me to our hometown in the countryside every summer, when the asphalt highway gives way to the concrete pavement and then gravel roads and finally bumpy dirt paths. We would be back in rural Anhui and Jiangsu, where unassuming homes scattered among canola fields and rice paddies. When Mom was young, she would spend nights studying under the kerosene lamp and wake up the next day with a nose filled with soot. Grandpa passed away when Mom was just finishing up middle school, and Grandma was faced with this repeatedly asked question, why would you send a girl to high school? She still did, despite the pressure from the whole village. For my father, on rainy mornings, his shoes would be soaked heavy, caked with mud, and his walk to school would become a trudge. His nearly empty stomach would barely provide enough energy. Somehow, they've made it through and became the first college students in their village. And these memories turned out to be a gift I wasn't able to unwrap until later when I came to Westtown. My parents were the first-generation immigrants to the city of Shanghai, and Shanghainese take great pride in their more refined vernacular. For me, I never learned to speak Shanghainese as a kid. Instead, I spoke a mixture of rural dialect and Mandarin, raw and inelegant. My uncouth mixture of accents felt out of place. I faced scrutiny when I answered teachers' questions with my best attempted Mandarin, and as little as I was, I felt different, and I took note that language was the key into a community. When I came to Westtown 4 years ago, the shifting of context yet again highlighted the thickness in my tone, this time in English. My accent was gritty. I brought along with me my hometown-crafted, explosive consonants and extended vowels, but it was in freshman English class, the outsider in literature, the very role I occupied both in literature and in this foreign land, when I realized for the first time that my voice mattered. I wasn't just encouraged to contribute to discussions in class, but expected to. Yet, I stumbled over my accent, messily straining words together to share my ideas. Terribly embarrassed, I was determined to erase my awkwardness and to speak with an authentic American accent. Luckily, I've been surrounded by many authentic voices. At Westtown, we gather weekly in the meeting house in purposeful silence, which is only broken when messages are shared. Here, I've realized that American accents are varied just like Chinese ones. I remember Prof. Monica once shared in her Puerto Rican accent that she was choked with tears when, during the past presidential election, her daughter asked if they would be deported. I remember Trey told an anecdote in his Tennessee accent about the generosity back at home. A lady, a stranger, who brought a tray of brownies from her house to Trey and his friends playing basketball. I remember during a late-night conversation with my roommate, Gio, he shared, in his Harlem accent, his admiration for his mother. Through listening closely to the stories in my community, I've realized the authentic American accent is impossible to define, and the importance of our words lies far less in how we say them than in the meanings they hold. My primary school was a 30-minute walk away. My middle school was an hour drive, and my high school is a 14-hour plane ride. For me, growing up meant leaving home. But it turned out that it was only when I left home 8,000 miles away that I have come closer to understanding to both the grit and the sand in my accent and the soot and the mud in my family's shared memories. Though inelegant, it reminds me of my story. At this place where my difference was highlighted and then valued and celebrated, I have finally unpacked the gift my parents have left me. It is a reminder, composed of my parents' childhood memories, that grounds me, humbles me. It reminds me to defend passion with diligence. I wish I didn't have to wait 2 years before I could tell Leo that my accent really isn't my accent after all. It is the mixture of the accents of every person I have ever talked to. I pick up small phrases and intonations from my friends and teachers, and they've merged to become my accent. If you think about it, it is the same with our most trivial habits as well as our most profound thoughts. When you spend more time with people around you, you become more like them. And for the past 4 years, I have been picking up bits and pieces of people around me, and before I noticed, they have become very much a part of me. In the last fleeting moments we share, it is at least a bit reassuring to know that I would be carrying bits and pieces of each of us as I leave, to carry you in my accent, my habits, and the ways I think, and that is fulfilling. From rural China to Westtown, I've found my accent bearing marks people and places have left on me. It is quirkily nuanced, perfect in its imperfections. Although these marks are sometimes confusing for me and unexpected to strangers, they are my story. It is eternally growing and evolving from the first word until the very last. Thank you.
Our next essayist is Giordani Robleto Baltazar. Originally from Guatemala, Giordani settled with his family in New York at age 6 and then joined us at Westtown as a 9th grader 4 years ago. A highly motivated student who has never backed away from a challenge, Giordani's academic work at Westtown has been outstanding. His curiosity is boundless, and while he has cited math as his favorite subject, he has also passionately studied both French and Spanish, his third and fourth languages after Garifuna and English. Giordani excels outside the classroom, too. In both soccer and lacrosse, his coaches counted on him to build unity, mediate conflicts, and work with younger players on skill development. Unsurprisingly, he was a captain in both sports. Giordani leads naturally, engaging others, engendering trust, and caring deeply about his community. His formal leadership roles at Westtown have been many, including Gerster House Proctor, Library Proctor, Admission Tour Guide, Student Representative for the Head of School Search, and Co-Student Body President. Haverford College is fortunate to have Giordani joining their community this fall, where he will play lacrosse, study economics, and continue to lead.
I was a young 7th grader when I saw my mom, exhausted, in a hospital bed. She had been beaten by the endless 12-hour shifts that she worked at multiple jobs. She was so overworked and underfed that she struggled to even smile as I walked in. She had managed to bring 7 of my 8 siblings to the United States from Guatemala, and now worked so hard that I would wake up at 6 in the morning, go to bed at 10 at night, and not see her at all. When I asked her, "Why do you work so much?" she always answered, "Alguien tiene que pagar la renta." Someone has to pay the rent. Growing up, every time I heard the word family, I became angry. I constantly thought, why don't I get to spend time with you, Mommy? I felt like an orphan whose only visitor came when he was asleep. I skipped classes, disobeyed teachers, and even fought a security guard once, just to get my mom called into school, never realizing that all the hours she wasted coming to school cost us rice for a week, or delayed the purchase of more comfortable shoes for herself. How would I acted then, knowing everything I do now? As she lay on the hospital bed, she said one small phrase that made me understand what she had been working for. "Don't end up like me." Mommy never let her back pain, arthritis, or any medical issues bring her down, but she never went out with friends to have a good time. Despite leaving her country after a 36-year deadly civil war, she never spread negativity and always reminded me to think on the bright side. She sacrificed time with her children in hopes that they would get an education and one day understand why she was never there in the first place. But she sacrificed too much. One day, after realizing all my mom had sacrificed, I was on my way home from school and I looked at my neighborhood through the M10 bus window, seeing only trash and violence. I felt a sense of frustration at what I saw. When I thought about my school, I pictured more of the same and felt the same frustration. I thought about my friends, those who were with us, and those who had fallen victim to the system that was never meant to allow them to succeed. It was at this moment that I decided to turn my life around. I no longer wanted to be in a dangerous neighborhood with bad friends and influences. But most importantly, I wanted to lift one less worry off my mom's shoulders. I decided that my first priority should be to learn English. I forced myself to only speak English with my family and brushed off rude comments about my accent. I stopped watching TV in Spanish, and Curious George became my first English-speaking friend. I borrowed English picture books from the library because I couldn't understand them otherwise. Then, after 2 years, my family had to move again due to financial reasons. I switched from a bilingual school in Washington Heights, New York City, to an English-only public school in Harlem, and realized I had to work even harder to learn English. It was challenging, annoying, mentally frustrating, and often physically battering. But those things never stopped my mom, so I wasn't going to let them stop me. After my hospital visit, I made sure to focus in class. My teachers looked at me sideways, and so did my friends. I lost most of my friends and my social status, but for once, I didn't care. Although many teachers did not help me regain the knowledge I lost in 2 years, my Harlem lacrosse coaches did. And soon after my mom got out of the hospital, I became eligible to play lacrosse, and it changed my life. I knew I was not the strongest, fastest, or biggest player on the team, but nothing was getting between me and my goals, literal and figurative. I practiced longer, watched twice as much film, and converted my little bedroom into a weight room. Lacrosse gave me the opportunity to go to boarding school. Now it stands to be a means by which I will attain a college education, something I, an immigrant kid from Harlem, never thought possible. But lacrosse isn't the reason I'm out of the hood. It isn't the reason I'm out of Harlem. It isn't the reason I've been able to get a better education. It isn't the reason I'm on a path to college. My mom is that reason. I started playing lacrosse at the same time I began understanding all the sacrifices she had made for me. Her work ethic, her selflessness, and her perseverance. Once I began to understand my mom, I had no choice but to put the qualities she demonstrated and instilled in me into lacrosse and everything I do. My mom is my inspiration. Mommy, I know it's been hard, but thank you for being the best mother anyone could ever have. Oh boy. Thank you for always being there when I cried because I hated English. Thank you for pushing me to do my homework and laying down the law when I didn't. Thank you for waking me up at 4 in the morning to walk me to school so I can make the bus to go to my lacrosse camps. Thanks for all the jokes and all the hugs. But most importantly, thank you for teaching me that despite all circumstances, you should always dance, you should always laugh, and you should always smile. My dream is to fix our home back in Guatemala and have every inch personalized for my mom. She's the embodiment of hustle and hard work, and she has provided me with everything that I need. She said, "Don't end up like me," but I'm now realizing that we are more alike than different. She had a bigger picture in mind. I have dreams too. Thank you.
Our next essayist is Natalie Lobach. Natalie grew up just down the road in Chester Springs and first came to Westtown in lower school. After leaving us for a time to pursue a more arts-focused course of study, Natalie returned to Westtown 4 years ago, and we are thrilled they did. Natalie's academic work is remarkable both for the myriad disciplines it touches and its exceptionally high quality. For instance, while immersed in a semester-long independent study in visual art, which produced an immense body of work including painting, sculpture, and pottery, Natalie was simultaneously conducting lab studies in partnership with researchers at the University of South Carolina in advanced scientific research. Having also excelled in Spanish, religion, and mathematics, Natalie was specifically recognized at our recent award ceremony with the Margaret Doty Memorial Biology Award, the Alumni Association Art Award, and the Most Distinguished Scholar Award. Outside the classroom, Natalie is an accomplished dressage rider, a key contributor in the performing arts backstage and in the booth, and a vocal, active member of our LGBTQ community. Next year, Natalie will attend the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, where they will continue to be a powerful, creative force for good in the world.
Two years ago, I told a family friend of mine I was planning on going to art school. "Oh, you want to be an artist?" he asked me. "Like the guy I've got designing a logo for my website." "No," I said, "I'm going to be a painter." "You can't really do that," he told me. And when I asked why not, he replied, "You won't make any money like that. I just don't want you to starve." I wish people went to art museums more. I think if they were to see the way in which art continues to thrive and move the world, they would be less inclined to tell young artists that our dreams are going to starve us. There is a strange but popular misconception that art is somehow losing relevance in our society. I'm here to tell you that the importance of art is not fading. Entire periods of human history are characterized by their art, and this one will be too. Our species has not been around very long. 2.8 million years, and the first record of the development of human thought was art. The cave paintings of our earliest ancestors show an incredible reverence for the ability to tell stories and replicate one's own world with one's own hands. The earliest expressions of spiritual and religious belief can be found in these cave paintings. Devotion to creation has not faded as our species has evolved. From the architecture of the Islamic Age of Enlightenment, to the frescoes of the Sistine Chapel, to the modern Surrealist movement, art has been synonymous with living. It's one thing to know this in your mind, however, but an entirely different thing to experience this truth in person. In Barcelona, Spain, there is a museum called the Fundació Juan Miró. 2 years ago, I found myself sitting in a little 3-walled white room in this museum. On each wall was a white canvas with an arc of black paint carved across it. Splatters along the lower half looked like sprays of gore, and each painting had one color: a yellow circle, a red circle, and a blue circle. Sitting in that room brought tears to my eyes. I had never felt a painting so agonizing, so loud yet so simple. The triptych is by Juan Miró, an artist who emerged out of the Dada and Surrealist movements of the late 1910s and 20s, which rejected logic as a basis of living in response to the First World War. Hope of a Condemned Man is Miró's response to Francisco Franco, one of the bloodiest dictators in the history of his country. To experience the suffering of a nation in splatters of white paint is a profound experience. Miró is a reflection of his context, influenced by the identity of his time. He is one of countless many. They fill the walls of museums and the foundations of holy sites. They can be found in Florence, in the palatial halls of the Uffizi, where the Italian Renaissance is a living, breathing thing. They cluster the rooms of the Barnes Foundation in Philadelphia, a collection of the new and progressive of the last 2 centuries. And they rotate through the pristine corridors of the Museum of Modern Art in New York, a constant flux of now. 2 months ago, I stood in another small white room, this time in the MoMA. 4 walls, and on each wall hung a picture of an African-American family. They smiled benevolently down at me from dinner tables, park photo shoots, family photos. We are among you. We are around you. We are within you. You are safe, the installation exclaimed in huge red letters. I moved out of the room and through spaces filled with images of police brutality, street performance art, and thought dumps. It was a retrospective of Adrienne Piper, an African-American woman whose art was and continues to be an unabashed and immodest response to the dynamics of her identity in the United States. It's hard to scoff at the importance of art when you're standing in the looming shadows of artists like Miró and Piper. People who have made waves, who have changed societal consciousness and fought injustice, who have sparked movements and paved the way for young artists behind them, for people like me. Art builds upon itself. I would not exist here as I am without Basquiat, Dalí, and Rauschenberg. They would not have existed as they did without Picasso, Kahlo, and Matisse, Cézanne, Van Gogh, Seurat, El Greco, Michelangelo, Da Vinci. Art is a process of constant exploration and redaction, investigation and refinement. Every century, every decade, every year builds upon those that came before. Artists right now, people like Kaheen Wiley and Jenny Saville, are paving the way for the generations to come. The millennial artists, and the Gen Z artists, and the Gen Alpha artists. Art is the lifeblood of humanity. It is beautiful, yes, but it is much more than that. Art reflects its environment. Art is a response to life. Art is a member of society. It is constantly in flux. It mutates with our time. Art is politics, and art is a refuge. It is the past, it is now, and it is the future. I do not plan on being the next Monet or the 21st century Rembrandt, because their times are not the times that we live in. I am going to be the next me, an artist shaped by my generation, by the issues of now. And I wonder, in 100 years, what will the museums say about today? Thank you.
Each year in May, the senior class elects one of their peers to speak for them at commencement as their valedictorian. The class of 2018 has wisely chosen Maggie Lind for this honor. Maggie came to Westtown 4 years ago as a 9th grade day student from Friends School Mullica Hill. And from the moment she set foot on campus, Maggie's academic achievement has been stellar. She's received numerous academic accolades from the faculty, earning academic distinction every semester, the highest scholarship award for 9th and 10th graders, and faculty letters of commendation every year. Intellectually curious, persistent, and richly engaged in the life of the mind, Maggie has been an asset to every class she's taken these past 4 years. Still, Maggie is not defined by her academic pursuits alone. She's made a home for herself here on the stage, performing in 8 dance concerts and 8 plays or musicals. She was elected prefect twice, then chief prefect as a senior, and she has been a model student leader. As one of her teachers noted, Maggie epitomizes the idea of the servant leader. In every one of her activities, her contribution begins with a desire and commitment to serve. This approach informed her work as a peer counselor, her engagement with refugees and immigrants at the Nationalities Service Center, and her strong, well-informed perspectives and actions around feminism, intersectionality, and social justice. The recognitions Maggie received at the recent awards assembly exemplify her leadership, achievement, passions, and talents. Maggie was the recipient of the Religion Award, the Alumni Association Dance Award, the Theater Arts Award, the Sally Wheeler Service Award, and the Casemeyer Leadership Award. This fall, Maggie will attend Scripps College, where she will, to paraphrase the Casemeyer Award, continue to demonstrate integrity and initiative and help others recognize that they have the power to create positive change.
Good morning, and thank you all for sharing this day with us. We are grateful to so many of you, families, friends, faculty, and staff, who have provided guidance in countless ways on our journey to the Greenwood today. Through this support, we have all found our place somewhere on these 600 acres. For some of us, it's in the art studio. For others, the athletic fields, the theater, the farm, or the science labs. One of my favorite spots on campus may seem unlikely. It is tucked in the back corner of the Learning Resource Center. From the outside, it's just an office. One door, one window, one desk and swivel chair. Teacher Kim Kolkassi's office has a particular aesthetic. Twinkly lights, pillows for her visitor's favorite spot on the floor, and a life-sized painted cow descending from the drop ceiling. Though this is all greatly appreciated, it is not the reason I am so captivated by this room. Rather, it is the hundreds of printed quotes that fill every inch of wall space that make it my home. Each day, Kim has chosen and posted a quote in her office, their meanings often dependent upon the events of the day. The eggshell walls are barely visible under the explosion of colors and words, and every student, teacher, and staff member who enters absorbs them in their own way. Wisdoms from sources as varied as Jane Goodall to Sufi scholars, Native American visionaries to present-day poets like Naraya Wahid, Margaret Mead to Yoda inspire us to be our best selves, to consider that we live together in a community on a planet that needs our attention, and to reach farther than we might otherwise have thought we could. When staring up at them from my place in the corner, I'm reminded of the power of words, how such arbitrary symbols aligned in the correct way can convey love, inspire change, speak truth, and alter perspectives. Words impact each of us differently. They have the ability to send chills down our spines, heat to our cheeks, and pain to our chests. Words have the historical weight of starting wars and making peace. Heartbreak, friendships, political movements, compromises, and acts of love all start with words. Our worldviews are shaped by what we have been told in history textbooks and bedtime stories alike, in gossip sessions and English classes. Every person we know and everything we know about them is conveyed through their words and subsequent actions. As someone who deals with anxiety, I feel that some of the words on the wall are specifically for me, whether Kim knows it or not. Georgia O'Keeffe, the prolific artist who became known as the mother of American modernism, said, "I have been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing that I wanted to do." Often, I have been deterred by what others might think of me, and I know I'm not alone in this. Although it might still occasionally sound shaky, as you might notice today, I've grown to heed the advice of these wordsmiths and use my voice. Westtown has prepared us well. Westtown has taught us the value of being kind, brave, and the absolute importance of listening. In a time of such political and global conflict, of wars and fear and what seems like weekly school shootings, it's time to implement these teachings. As the first graduating class to experience a full year immersed in the current political climate, we must be kind to those we do not know. We must be brave in the face of fear and injustice. We must listen to voices and experiences that are not our own, and we must act. Margaret Mead spoke to this when she said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." As we move on from Westtown, let us be that group of thoughtful, committed citizens. I say this because I know that we can all do better. We cannot be silent, but we also cannot be afraid of silence. We cannot let our voices overpower those who are silenced every day. I know that we can do this. Some of us already are, while others among us are blocked by fear or complacency. Some of us need to raise our voices louder, and some of us may need to pause, stop talking, and listen. I challenge us to use what we have learned. We have the power to make change for the betterment of those who are marginalized and whose words carry too little weight, but only if we stop waiting for others to do it for us. Now is our time. At this moment, we do not all have the perspective to understand what we have been granted at Westtown. By acknowledging our privilege in attending such an institution, we are recognizing our power to use what we have been given here to make a difference. It is much simpler to disengage than choose to engage with those around us. It is much easier to complain than to work to change the system, but we must not settle for what is easy. We have too much collective potential. I am certain that in the future we will all recognize the significance that Westtown has played in our lives, and we will miss aspects of our time here. Maybe we will miss those last drops of light on South Lawn when everything is purple, or staying up way past lights out with our roommates. Our favorite dorm pet, Nutella on crepe day, legacies, hour-long conversations with teachers we once feared, waking up to Jay Farrow's voice on the one snow day a year, bake sales in Central, Wednesday, snack, and living in a place that encourages institutional criticism because it knows that is the only way to grow. This place has stretched us, aggravated us, supported us, and pushed us until now, when the superstition of the Greenwood has loosened its grasp and given us a fleeting glimpse into what lies ahead. Going forward, I hope we all find places that force us to grow as Westtown has. Throughout our time here in Meeting for Worship, we have learned how to sit in silence, to center ourselves, and finally to speak our truth. Out of silence, we found our voice. So as we leave here, I wish for us all to embrace the words of Madeleine Albright hanging on yellow construction paper above Kim's doorframe. It took me quite a long time to develop a voice, and now that I have it, I am not going to be silent. Thank you.
Friends, the moment is approaching when we will hand each of you a diploma. I know how much you're dreading it. I know how much you're going to miss being high school students. And I'm going to miss you too. I have loved getting to know you this year. Although I will say that at 6 o'clock this morning, I did my level best not to know you any better than I already do. But seriously, you are a wonderful group of people. You are smart, thoughtful, silly, talented, a little grumpy at times, a little off the wall at times, but always at the end of the day, kind and sweet. I have grown to love you, all of you individually and as a class. And because I know you don't really want this experience to end, I thought you'd appreciate being high school students just for a few more minutes, a few more paragraphs of totally unsolicited advice, a few more minutes of captivity. What was it, like jail but with meeting for worship? Before you reluctantly claim your independence. A few more minutes to be together, all together as a class. Perhaps for the last time. So look around you for a minute. These are your people. At times while you were in school together, I know that you felt your differences more than your similarities. You occasionally felt tension more than kinship. But take my word for it. Now, and you will soon see, that what unites you is far more important than what separates you. Over the years to come, your Westtown experience and your class will somehow come into sharper focus for you. With time and distance, themes will emerge. The commonalities of your collective energy and your shared experiences. As I think of the class of 2018, I know that you are united under the theme of truth. Individually and collectively, you have spent your time at Westtown pursuing truth, expressing your own truth, and bearing witness to the truths of others. Nothing could be more fitting, as truth is among the most enduring of the Quaker testimonies and vital to the heart and soul of Westtown. As Westonians, you have been initiated into the Quaker practice of listening for truth and acting on it. You have been enjoined to listen for truth in the stillness of meeting for worship, in the intensity of class discussions, athletic competitions, assemblies, or queries set by your SBPs in meeting for business. To listen for truth even in the deafening clamor of life on dorm. This has not been an easy practice to develop, and because you are human beings, you didn't always want to do it. On any given day, who among us wouldn't rather be playing odds are than listening for truth? Still, reluctantly or not, and whether you knew it or not, you have developed an effective truth practice. You have learned to cut through both noise and stillness, to listen for the beat of your own hearts, the pulse of your own flow of energy, the truth spoken by God to your spirit. And it shows. Class of 2018, there is truth, first of all, in your achievements, your successes and your failures, the risks you have taken, the explorations and expositions of your talents. As students in the classroom and beyond, as artists, athletes, engineers, entrepreneurs, and performers, you have brought forth to the world true expressions of your essential nature. To this assembled company, all who have educated you and all who love you, there has been nothing more joyful than watching you discover what you are capable of and watching you do what you love to do. There is truth in all that you have attempted and all that you have achieved at Westtown. There is truth also in your relationships. Whether you have been friends since Westtown Lower School, were thrown together as roommates in Balderston or Gerster, bonded on a varsity team or Metal Moose, or while traveling to China or Montreal, your friendships are beautiful. This is not to say that they've always been sunny and easy, but even when there has been friction, you have sought to know each other. You have striven to appreciate each other's gifts and to respect each other's natures. This winter, I challenged you to write memoirs in 6 words. And as cryptic as some of them were, almost without exception, you were able to guess who wrote what. Stressed, depressed, but still well-dressed? Socks or bread? Still no answer? And of course, download my app from the App Store. Among your mini memoirs, there were inside jokes, bits of charming nonsense to make your classmates laugh, and expressions of gratitude for each other. One of you used your 6 words simply to say, "I love my friends at Westtown." There is truth in the bonds between and among you. And perhaps most of all, there is truth in the class of 2018's pursuit of change. Seniors, it is clear by your words and actions that your hearts and souls have spoken to you of a deep desire for change, a desire that the world should be a better place. You have accurately perceived inequities and injustices in our world. Individually and collectively, you have said time and again, this is not good enough, not equitable enough, not just enough, not sustainable enough, not inclusive enough. You have taken to task those who fail to appreciate the depth of implicit bias in our community and beyond, those who have failed to protect young people like yourselves from gun violence, those who have failed to acknowledge and halt the devastating effects of climate change. You, my friends, are discontented with the world as you find it, and rightly so. It is your prerogative to be discontented. It is right that you should be discontented. This is your truth. The question is now, and forever will be, what will you do with your discontent? When you find yourselves dissatisfied with what you encounter in the world, how will you respond? What will be the spirit of your discontent? What will be its mode and its purpose? These questions have been asked before of other graduating students. They were asked at another commencement ceremony 120 years ago. This was in 1898, a time of Jim Crow laws mandating racial segregation, systematized African American disenfranchisement, and widespread lynching of African American men and women. Students graduating that year from Fisk University looked out on a violent and deeply discriminatory world. At their commencement ceremony, it was W.E.B. Du Bois who told them, "I cannot promise you happiness always, but I can promise you divine discontent with the imperfect." When I think of you, class of 2018, I think of Du Bois's phrase, divine discontent with the imperfect. We live in different times, but our world is still deeply troubled, and it has need of your divine discontent. And how divine it has already been. This year alone, you, seniors, have highlighted problems in our society and at our school, and you have changed things for the better. Members of the class of 2018 have proposed a common lexicon for our community to use when discussing identity and discrimination. You have researched and proposed a syllabus on African American history. You have drawn attention to the experiences of students who identify as minorities on account of gender identity, race, national origin, and other characteristics, who have felt that their voices have not been properly heard in meeting for worship. You have peacefully rallied in opposition to gun violence. And by these means and others, you are leaving Westtown a better place than you found it. As you go forward into the next phase of your lives, I will wish for you not just discontent, but divine discontent. I wish that you will continue to look for ways to make the world a better place, for yourselves and for others. At times, you will worry that the world is changing more slowly than you can tolerate. Stay with it. Continue to speak out against injustice in a way that is inclusive and productive, with patience, persistence, logic, and love and reason, in a manner that brings others with you and can change hearts and minds. And above all, never, ever, ever lose sight of your own integrity. You are coming of age at a time when misrepresentation, manipulation, and outright lies are rampant in public life. This is unacceptable. Such means are not justified by any ends, liberal, conservative, progressive, left, right, or center. But nobody is better equipped than you, as Westonians, to restore truth to a place of honor, to reinvest in integrity as a prized personal and civic value. Friends, in college and forever after, always remember who you are. Keep listening to the truth that rises up within you and be unshakable in your integrity. And now it is time for you to leave us. When you receive your diploma, understand that it represents an end, a beginning, and a continuation. Your diploma represents your completion of your course of study at Westtown School. It signals that you are no longer students, but alumni, alumni, and alumnex. And it shows the world that you are and will always be Westonians. God bless all of you.
Shia Ihan. Giordani Robleto Baltazar. Natalie Serene Lobach. Magdalene Jane Lind. Montgomery Jane Abbott. Hyo Jae An. Paxton Elizabeth Angel. Charles Thomas Arnold. Alec Holden Barbera. Cameron Henry Brame. Madison Olivia Brooks. Eric Alexander Butler Roberts. Summer Utian Tsai. Michael Edward Bryn Campbell. Victoria Rose Carty. Jordan Viv Catchings. Chao Chu Chen. Patrick Cameron Kolkassi. Drew Curry. Carter Douglas Deere. Noah Charles Jalava. Harrison Davis Eichelberger. Charles Pierce Eldridge. Lauren Holly Evans. Baoying Perlene Feng. Lillian Ann Fernandez. Jacob Dwight Forrester. Ethan James Gadra. Joanna Carr Griffin. Charles Henry Hammond III. Anna Bond Harrison. Dewi Tusadia Henry. Thomas Joseph Hogan. Hu Jerkong. Eamon Huang. Omar Ahmed Hussein. Cameron Simone Jackson. Sofia Jimenez. Nkosi Adisa Johnson Thornton. Cleo Kelleher. Trent Douglas Kellner. Serena Richards Kramer. Xander Richards Kramer. Gretchen Elizabeth Ladner. Elias Jonathan Landown. Troy James Larson. Leon Sangwon Liu. Nataman Maninoy. Talia Celeste Martini. Carrie Chen McGill. Ethan Drake McLear. Daniil Marashensky. Casey Miller. Jonathan Brendan Maldoff. Savannah Tally Murphy. Sarah Rebecca Murray. Andrew Clark Much. Michaela Rachel Neal. Ryan Samuel O'Donnell. Katrina Elizabeth Olson. Heather Kefan Pan. Aiden Penn Peterson. Cameron Elijah Reddish. Margaret Ann Reynolds. Matthew Augustin Ryle. William Kerwin Roberts III. Richard Dalen Rosa. Mari Catherine Schad. Timothy Nevitt Schaefer. J. Jessica Renee Scott. Nicholas Anthony Sokol. Matthew Taylor Starr. Alexandra Charles Taylor. Emma Karina Tunison Bermeo. Sirapap Tiranantachai. Valerie Ann Thompson. Julian Slade Tien. Alexandra Nicole Talasi. Lauren Elizabeth Turman. Gwyneth Lily Turner. Alexandra Constance Walter. Kevin Yun Chao Wong. Niall Nicholas Arthur Waring. Eliza Blair Wyman. Aria Jung-E Zhang. It is my enormous privilege to present to you the Westtown School Class of 2018.
Congratulations, graduates. Congratulations also to your parents, families, and friends. Thank you all for coming and celebrating with us. In a moment, our newly minted Westtown alums will recess out of the Greenwood, but we trust that they will visit soon and often on Alumni Weekend, if not before. If you do not have to depart right away, please pick up some lunch in the dining room and enjoy it in a classroom or collection room or on the road. Until then, travel safely, Godspeed, and goodbye for now.